What would you do if you could hear what people really think about you when they believe you're not listening? Arthur Montgomery, a powerful and distant man, decided to pretend he was unconscious after a fall to test those around him. But what he discovered in those moments of silence wasn't what he expected. The words of a humble nanny and the reactions of his own children would give him the most painful and transformative lesson of his life. Get ready, because this story will touch the deepest fibers of your heart. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Tales of Kindness. We post videos every day. Give the video a like if you enjoy this story, and leave us in the comments which city you're watching from and what time you're listening. Arthur Montgomery had just fallen down the stairs. The impact was hard, but he was conscious, and in a split second, he decided to fake it. What this millionaire entrepreneur didn't expect was that in the next few minutes, he would hear and see something that would shatter all his certainties. When Rosie, the nanny he'd always regarded with indifference, knelt beside him with his 10-month-old twins crying in her arms, she did something so unexpected that it would make this cold man break down in tears for the first time in his life. The phone argument with Patricia had been more intense than usual. Arthur Montgomery gripped his cell phone so tightly his knuckles turned white. His ex-wife's voice echoed in his mind as he descended the stairs of his Beverly Hills mansion. She wanted more money, always more, and she always used the twins as bargaining chips. Arthur didn't even notice he misstepped on the second-to-last stair. His body lurched forward, and the phone flew from his hand. The world spun in slow motion. The impact against the imported marble floor was sharp, violent. His head hit, his left shoulder absorbed part of the fall, and a sharp pain shot through his ribs. For a few seconds, Arthur was dazed. He blinked several times, trying to focus. The massive crystal chandelier above him seemed to pulse. His whole body ached, but he could move his fingers. He felt his legs, nothing broken. Maybe some bruised ribs, maybe a bump on the head, but nothing serious. That's when he heard hurried footsteps coming from the second floor. Rosie, the nanny, must have heard the noise. Suddenly, Arthur had a thought he couldn't fully explain. An impulse, a morbid curiosity. He closed his eyes and let his body go completely limp. He was going to pretend to be unconscious to see how people reacted when they thought he was vulnerable, to observe who really cared and who just followed protocols. Arthur Montgomery had always been a man of control. He controlled companies, negotiations, people, and now, ironically, he would control even his own unconsciousness. The footsteps grew closer. Arthur kept his breathing slow and deep. He didn't open his eyes, didn't move. Rosie appeared in the foyer. He couldn't see her, but he felt her presence. He heard her breathing quicken. He heard her stop abruptly and let out a stifled gasp. "Mr. Arthur." Her voice was trembling, almost breaking. Silence. Arthur imagined she was deciding what to do. He waited. Each second felt like an eternity. Then he heard something he didn't expect. The twins crying. Sophia and Lucas were with Rosie. Of course, it was late at night. She always stayed with them at that hour because Patricia had taken most of the night staff in the divorce. Rosie was the only one left. Calm down, my loves." Her voice now tried to be firm, but it faltered. "Let Rosie check. Let me check on your dad." Arthur heard her footsteps approaching. He felt her kneel beside him. He felt the warmth of her body near his. The babies kept crying, a sharp, desperate wail that pierced his ears. "Mr. Arthur, sir, can you hear me?" Her hand touched his face. It was cold, or maybe he was too hot. "Please wake up, please." There was something in her voice, something genuine, real fear. Rosie placed her fingers on his neck, probably checking for a pulse. Arthur felt her hands shaking. "It's beating. Thank God it's beating," she whispered to herself. Sophia started crying louder. Lucas joined his sister's desperation, and Arthur, motionless on the floor, sensed something disturbing. His pretense was about to reveal truths he might not be prepared to face. Rosie tried to hold Sophia in her left arm while settling Lucas in her right, but the two 10-month-old babies wriggled, crying even harder. The weight of them in her already tired arms made her hands tremble. She'd spent the whole day caring for the twins. She'd cleaned the house because the maid was out. She'd prepared their food, given baths, rocked them to sleep. And now this. "Calm down, my babies, calm down," she repeated, her voice choked. But the children felt her panic. Babies always do. Arthur remained still, eyes closed. He could hear every nuance in his children's cries, every desperate sob, but what caught his attention most was Rosie's rapid breathing. She was truly panicking. "Lucas, Sophia, please." Her voice broke. "Rosie needs to help your dad. Needs to." She looked around desperately. Arthur's phone had fallen a few feet away. She'd have to set the babies down to get it, but she couldn't. She couldn't leave Sophia and Lucas on the floor while her boss lay there unconscious, maybe seriously hurt. "I don't know what to do. I don't know." Rosie was talking to herself now, tears starting to stream down her face. "Mr. Arthur, please give me a sign. Anything. Move your hand, open your eyes, anything." She leaned closer to him, babies still in her arms. One of her tears fell on Arthur's face. He felt the warm liquid trickle down. It was real. Her desperation was completely real. "I should have seen, I should have heard earlier." Rosie began murmuring, her voice increasingly distressed. "I was with the kids in the room, but I should have been more attentive. I heard the argument on the phone. I heard him upset. I should have come down. I should have stayed close." Arthur felt something strange in his chest. She was taking the blame for something that had nothing to do with her. Sophia let out an especially sharp cry, and Rosie had to adjust the baby in her arm. She reached out her little arms, wanting to get down, wanting to escape this terrifying situation, but Rosie wouldn't let go. She couldn't let go. "My loves, I know you're scared. Rosie is too." She kissed Sophia's head, then Lucas's, trying to soothe them through her own terror. "But I need you to help me now. Yes, we need to be strong for Dad. For Dad." Arthur registered the words. She didn't say for the boss or for Mr. Arthur. She said Dad, as if they were all in this together, as if they were a family. But they weren't. He'd always made that very clear. Rosie was the employee. She cared for his children because she was paid to. There was no intimacy, no closeness, at least that's what Arthur had always believed. "I'm going to get the phone," Rosie decided, her voice firmer. "Right now, I'm going to set you down here next to Dad for just a second." "Okay, just a second." She carefully lowered the twins to the floor beside Arthur. Sophia immediately crawled toward her father, crying. Her little hands touched his arm. Lucas sat there, his face red from crying, eyes fixed on his father's motionless face. Rosie ran to the phone, grabbed it with shaking hands, and hurried back. But when she got close, Sophia had clutched Arthur's shirt, and Lucas started sobbing in a heart-wrenching way. And it was in that moment that Rosie broke down completely. Rosie dropped to her knees beside Arthur, phone still in hand. Tears flowed freely now, uncontrolled. She sobbed as she tried to dial emergency services, but her fingers trembled so much she kept missing the numbers. "No, no." She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Tried again. "I need to get this right. I need to." Sophia let go of her father's shirt and turned to Rosie. The baby reached her arms up, wanting to be held not toward the father lying motionless, but toward the nanny, toward the one who was always there. Lucas did the same. The two babies crying now, not from fear, but seeking safety. Arthur felt something stir inside him. His own children, in a moment of danger, didn't seek comfort from him. They sought it from Rosie. She was their safe harbor. She was the one they wanted when the world turned scary. "Come here, my loves. Come." Rosie set the phone aside for a moment and scooped them both up again, holding them tight to her chest. "It's all okay. Rosie is here. I'll always be here." She rocked back and forth, soothing the babies even amid her desperation. She hummed softly, a lullaby Arthur didn't recognize, something from her childhood back in her hometown, perhaps a folk tune from her Mexican roots that he'd never bothered to learn about. "Rock-a-bye, my baby. Rock-a-bye, my son. Rock-a-bye, piece of my heart." Her voice cracked between sobs, but she continued. "No, no, no. My babies aren't afraid of anything. Because Rosie is here. Because I won't let anything bad happen to you." Arthur heard Sophia calm down. Her crying faded to a low whimper. Lucas rested his head on Rosie's shoulder, his little body still trembling, but less tense. "That's it, my loves. That's it." Rosie kissed each of their foreheads. "You're so strong, so brave, just like your dad. He's strong too. He's going to be okay." She said it as if trying to convince herself, as if she needed to believe those words to not fall apart completely. "Your dad is a good man," Rosie continued, her voice softer now. I know he's tough sometimes. I know he works a lot and gets tired, but he loves you. I know he does. Arthur felt the words like punches. She was defending him even after months of being treated with coldness, curt orders, indifference. Even as just the nanny to him, she still found kindness to tell his children he was good. He just forgot how to show it, Rosie whispered, more to herself than the babies. But deep down, he has a good heart. I have to believe that, Sophia yawned. The exhaustion from crying starting to win. Lucas sucked his thumb, eyes red but calmer. Rosie kept rocking, kept humming, kept being the only pillar of safety those children knew. And Arthur, lying there, realized something devastating. He was a stranger in his own children's lives. He lived in the same house, paid all the bills, provided the best of everything, but it was Rosie who knew the songs that calmed them. It was Rosie who knew exactly how to hold each one. It was Rosie they sought when they needed protection. It was Rosie who truly cared, and he barely existed there. Thank you so much for listening this far. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Tales of Kindness. We post videos every day. Give the video a like if you enjoy this story, and leave us in the comments which city you're watching from and what time you're listening. Now Rosie is going to call emergency services. Okay, she said softly. I'm going to get help for Dad, but you stay calm here with me. I won't move from your side, I promise. And she didn't move. She stayed there, the two babies in her arms, as she finally managed to dial the number. Hello. Hello. I need an ambulance, please. Rosie's voice came out desperate on the phone. My boss fell down the stairs. He's unconscious. I don't know what to do. Arthur listened to every word, every inflection of panic. Yes, he's breathing. His heart is beating. I checked. She answered the operator's questions, trying to keep her voice steady. No, he hasn't moved since I got here. About 5 minutes ago, I think. It feels like forever. Sophia shifted in her lap, still restless. Rosie juggled the baby while handling the phone and the two kids. Beverly Hills, 1024 Rodeo Drive. She gave the address quickly. Please hurry, please. There was a pause. The operator must have been giving instructions. No, I won't move him. I'll just stay right here beside him. Rosie looked at Arthur, tears streaming again. I'll stay here until you arrive. She hung up the phone and set it aside. She took a deep breath, trying to compose herself, but she couldn't. The sobs returned, more intense now that she didn't need to talk to anyone. I should have seen. She started talking to herself again, shaking her head. I heard his argument on the phone. I heard he was upset. I should have come down. I should have stayed close. I could have prevented this. Arthur frowned inwardly. Why did she think that was her responsibility? Something always happens when I let my guard down, Rosie continued, her voice broken. I can't relax. I can't lower my guard. If I do, bad things happen. They always do. She held the babies tighter, as if afraid to lose them. I should have stayed on the first floor too. I should have waited for him to finish the call, but no. I went upstairs with Sophia and Lucas because I thought he'd want privacy, because I always try not to bother, always try to be invisible like he prefers. The words hit Arthur like stones. Invisible like he prefers. Was that what he did, treat her as if she were invisible? And now he's here because of me. Rosie wiped her face with her shoulder without letting go of the babies. If I'd stayed close, if I'd paid more attention, maybe I'd have seen him misstep. Maybe I could have caught him. Maybe she couldn't finish the sentence. The crying took over. Lucas raised his little hand and touched Rosie's wet face. The baby made a soft sound, as if trying to comfort her. Sophia rested her head on Rosie's chest, seeking the heartbeat that always soothed her. Sorry, my loves. Rosie kissed both their foreheads. Sorry for scaring you. Rosie will be okay. Everything will be okay. It has to be. Arthur felt his chest tighten. Every word from her revealed layers of responsibility he dumped on her shoulders without realizing. She wasn't just the nanny. She was the one who took every problem in that house as her own fault. She was the one carrying the emotional weight of everything while he just gave orders. Mr. Arthur, please wake up. She spoke to him again, her voice pleading. I know you don't like weakness. I know you've always been strong, but now isn't the time for pride. Please, for your children, for Sophia and Lucas. They need you. She paused, looking at the babies in her arms. "I need you." The voice was so low Arthur almost didn't hear it. "These kids, they're everything to me. And if something happens to you," Rosie didn't finish. She didn't need to. The pain in her voice said it all. And Arthur, for the first time, started questioning if pretending to be unconscious had really been a good idea. Rosie wiped her face once more and took a deep breath. She needed to calm down for the babies. Sophia and Lucas had cried enough for one night. She looked at Arthur, still motionless on the floor, and made a decision. "My loves, come here." She stood up with difficulty, her knees aching from kneeling so long on the cold floor. "Rosie is going to sit right here close to Dad, and we're going to talk to him. Okay? Even if he doesn't answer. I'm sure he's listening now." She sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, and positioned the twins in her lap, facing their father. Arthur was less than a meter away. If he opened his eyes now, he'd see all three staring at him. "Look, Sophia. Look at Dad." Rosie held the baby's little hand and pointed toward Arthur. "He's just resting." "Yes, he worked so hard today. He works hard every day." Her voice had changed. It was still choked, but there was a new gentleness, a genuine attempt to turn this terrible moment into something less frightening for the children. "You know, Lucas," she continued, stroking the boy's dark hair, "your dad is so smart. He built a huge tech company in Silicon Valley. He takes care of so many people, provides jobs for so many families. That's really important." Arthur heard every word. She was speaking well of him, defending him. "Because I know sometimes Dad comes home tired," Rosie went on, as if having a real conversation with the 10-month-old babies. "I know he doesn't smile much, stays in the office late, but that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It means he's doing the best he can." She was making excuses for him. Arthur, who never spent more than 15 minutes a day with his own children. Arthur, who barely looked at them when he got home. Arthur, who saw fatherhood as just another administrative task in life. "Rosie knows Dad's heart is good," Rosie continued, her voice even softer. He just never learned how to show it. You know why? Because no one showed him when he was little. Sometimes people grow up without learning how to give affection, but that doesn't mean they don't feel it. Arthur felt something break inside him. How did she know? How could she describe so perfectly the truth he'd never admitted? His father had been cold, his mother distant. He grew up in luxury, but without hugs, with everything except affection. "But you too," Rosie kissed Sophia's crown. "Then Lucas's, you're going to grow up different. You're going to grow up knowing you're loved. By Rosie, who loves you more than anything in this world, and by Dad, who loves you too. He just doesn't know how to show it well yet." "Dad's going to be okay," Rosie said with conviction now, as if repeating it would make it true. "He's strong. He's always been strong, and when he wakes up, we'll be here waiting, because that's what family does. We stay, we don't abandon." Arthur felt the words like a gut punch. Family. She'd said family, but she was the employee. She wasn't family, or was she? She was there on the cold floor with two babies in her lap, defending a man who'd never treated her with a shred of humanity. She was there when the children's own mother had left. "You know what my grandma used to say?" Rosie started rocking the babies gently. She said, "God puts the right people in your path at the right time." And I believe that. I believe I'm here for a reason, that you two came into my life for a reason. Her voice cracked again. "And your dad, he's in my life for a reason too, even if it's hard sometimes, even if he's the way he is." Arthur kept his eyes closed, but now his focus was entirely on Rosie. Every word from her forced him to see things he'd always ignored. She adjusted Sophia, who had finally fallen asleep, exhausted from crying. Lucas fought sleep, his eyes opening and closing. "Sleep, my prince, sleep," Rosie whispered, running her hand through the baby's fine hair. "Tomorrow will be a better day. Rosie promises." It was in that moment that Arthur truly saw her. Not physically, since his eyes were closed, but he saw her for real. Her face must have been swollen from crying. The bun she always wore perfectly neat was probably undone. The pink uniform he insisted she wear must have been wrinkled. Her arms, holding two babies nearly 20 pounds each, must have been aching terribly. And yet, she was there, steadfast, present, being the pillar that house needed. Arthur had never stopped to think of Rosie as a real person, with a history, pains, dreams. She was the nanny, the efficient employee who took good care of his kids and didn't cause problems. He paid her salary on time, gave breaks when needed, provided a comfortable room. He thought that was enough. But when was the last time he'd asked if she was okay? When was the last time he treated her as more than a useful cog in his life's machine? Never. Mr. Arthur. Rosie spoke to him again, her voice tired. I don't know if you're hearing me now, but I need to tell you something. She paused long. Arthur could hear her heavy breathing. I know to you I'm just the nanny, just another employee. And that's fine. I accept that. But these two here, she hugged the babies more lovingly. These two are my life now. From the first day I came to this house 7 months ago and saw them so tiny, so fragile, something changed inside me. Arthur remembered the day Rosie was hired. Patricia had just left, taking half the staff. He needed someone urgently. The agency sent Rosie. She'd come from out of state, with a small suitcase and scared eyes. He barely looked at her, just told her the rules and what he expected. She accepted everything in silence. You know I lost my parents when I was 22, Rosie continued, her voice trembling. Car accident, both at once. I was an only child, had no one else. Arthur didn't know. He'd never asked. I spent years thinking I'd never feel like I belonged anywhere again. Never have a family again. A tear rolled down her face and fell on Lucas, who slept soundly. Until I came here, until I met Sophia and Lucas. She sobbed quietly, trying not to wake the babies. I know they're not my children. I know I have no right to feel what I feel, but I can't help it. They filled a hole inside me that I thought would stay empty forever. Arthur felt his chest constrict. She loved his children genuinely, not because she was paid to, not out of duty, but because they'd become the family she'd lost. That's why I care for them like they're mine. That's why I stay up when they're sick. That's why I sing the songs my mum sang to me. That's why her voice broke completely. That's why I can't lose this family again. I can't, Mr. Arthur. I couldn't bear to lose again. And it was then that Arthur understood. Rosie wasn't just afraid he'd die. She was terrified of losing another family, of being alone again, of having her heart shattered once more. The silence that followed was heavy. Rosie held the two sleeping babies, tears streaming silently down her face. Arthur lay still, but inside he was in turmoil. Every revelation from her was like a mirror held up to him, reflecting a man he didn't want to recognize. You know what's saddest, Mr. Arthur? Rosie started speaking again, her voice barely a whisper. It's that you have everything I lost. You have two beautiful, healthy, perfect children, but you don't see it. You don't take advantage. You're so busy building empires that you forgot to build memories. She looked at Sophia sleeping peacefully in her lap. Sophia took her first steps last month. You didn't see it. You were at a meeting in New York. Her voice held no accusation, just sadness. Lucas said, Mama, for the first time 2 weeks ago. He wasn't calling his mother, he was calling me. And you didn't see that either. You were at the office until 11 at night. Each word was a stab. Arthur hadn't known about those milestones. He didn't know because he never asked, never was present. I keep it all here. Rosie placed her hand on her heart. Every laugh, every discovery, every special moment, I keep it because someone has to. Someone has to remember these babies are growing, that their childhood is passing, and one day, Mr. Arthur, one day they'll grow up, and you'll look back and realize you missed it all. She stroked Lucas's hair with infinite tenderness. My dad worked a lot too. He was a construction worker, up at 5 a.m., home at 7 p.m. But you know what he did every night before bed? He'd come into my room, kiss my forehead, and say, I love you, my flower. Every single day without fail. Her voice broke again. When they died, I had no money for anything. I lost the house, lost everything. But you know what I didn't lose? The memories, the hugs, the I love yous. And that's what keeps me going to this day. That's what makes me get up every morning and keep on. You have money, power, everything. But what do you have that really matters? If you died today, what would Sophia and Lucas remember about their father? The closed office door, the tired man who barely looked at them. She shook her head, tears falling on the babies. I'd give everything, everything I don't have, and never will for one more day with my parents. One more hug, one more I love you. And you have that chance every day and waste it. You waste it because you think work is more important, that money is more important. Rosie took a deep breath, trying to control herself. But it's not, Mr. Arthur. It's not. When we're at the end, when we're alone, what matters isn't the size of your bank account. It's how many people will truly miss you. It's how much love you leave in the world. In the distance, the ambulance siren began to wail. Rosie lifted her head, relieved. They're here. Thank God they're here. She stood up with difficulty, still holding the two babies. You're going to be okay, Mr. Arthur. You're going to be okay, and you're going to have a second chance, a chance to do things differently, to be different. She looked at him one last time before going to open the gate. I just hope you don't waste this chance too. And in that moment, Arthur Montgomery, the man who controlled everything and everyone, realized he'd lost control of the only thing that really mattered, his own humanity. Rosie ran to the door, still carrying the two sleeping babies. He heard her hurried steps, heard the electronic gate opening, heard the paramedics' voices entering, and there, lying on the cold floor, he finally understood the magnitude of what he'd done. He wasn't just pretending to be unconscious. He was forcing a woman who'd already lost everything to relive her worst nightmare. He was using her fear, her pain, to satisfy his morbid curiosity about who really cared for him. What kind of man does that? The paramedics rushed in. Arthur felt them approach, felt them check his vital signs. He heard Rosie explaining what happened, her voice still trembling. He fell down the stairs. I heard the noise, came running down, and he was like this. He hasn't responded since. She spoke quickly, anxious, but his heart is beating. Breathing is normal. I checked. You did the right thing, ma'am, one paramedic replied. We're taking him to the hospital. We need to run tests, see if there's any internal injury. I'm coming too, Rosie said immediately, and the kids. There was a pause. Arthur could imagine Rosie looking at Sophia and Lucas sleeping in her arms, then at him. I can't leave them alone, but I can't either. Her voice revealed the dilemma. She wanted to be in two places at once. Are you his wife? The paramedic asked. No, I'm the nanny. Is there anyone else who can stay with the kids? Some family? Their mother lives far away. Mr. Arthur doesn't have anyone else nearby, Rosie replied. And Arthur realized the bitter truth in those words. He really had no one. He'd built an empire, but he was completely alone. So maybe you should stay with the little ones, the paramedic suggested. We'll take care of him. The hospital will call you with updates. No, Rosie said firmly. I need to go, please. The kids can come with me. I'll watch them there, but I can't let him go alone. Arthur felt something break definitively inside him. She was willing to take two 10-month-old babies to the hospital in the middle of the night because she couldn't bear the idea of him going alone, of him being alone. An employee he'd treated with indifference cared more about him than anyone else in his life. Okay, ma'am. We'll all go then, the paramedic conceded. But you'll need to ride in the ambulance with the kids. There's room. They started placing Arthur on the stretcher. He kept his body limp, eyes closed, but inside he was at war with himself. How much longer would he keep up this charade? How much more would he let this woman suffer? Rosie stayed by the stretcher, holding the twins. Arthur could feel her presence, hear her rapid breathing. Please take good care of him, she asked the paramedics. He's important to a lot of people, to the kids, to me. The words echoed in Arthur's mind. They loaded him into the ambulance. Rosie climbed in back with Sophia and Lucas. The door closed, the siren blared, and as they headed to the hospital, Arthur made a decision. He couldn't do this anymore, couldn't pretend anymore. Not after everything he'd heard, not after seeing who he really was through Rosie's eyes. He needed to wake up, needed to face this woman, needed for the first time in his life to be honest about what he was feeling, but he was scared. Scared that opening his eyes would mean opening his heart too. And Arthur Montgomery didn't know if he was ready for that, but he had no choice, because there, in that ambulance, with a nanny who loved him more than he deserved and two children he barely knew, Arthur understood that either he changed now or he'd lose forever the only family he still had. Arthur opened his eyes, slowly. The ambulance light was too bright. He blinked several times, adjusting his vision. The first face he saw was Rosie's. She was sitting nearby, Sophia and Lucas sleeping soundly in her lap, staring out the ambulance window with a distant, tired expression. When she noticed the movement, she turned her head quickly. Her eyes widened. Mr. Arthur, she almost shouted, but held back for the baby's sake. "You woke up. Thank God, you woke up." The paramedics immediately turned to him, asking questions, checking responses. "Arthur," he answered mechanically, but his eyes didn't leave Rosie, the swollen face from crying, the completely undone bun, the arms trembling from holding the children, the wrinkled pink uniform, every detail he'd always ignored. "Sir, are you in pain?" a paramedic asked. "Yes," Arthur replied, his voice hoarse. But it wasn't physical pain. It was something much worse. It was the pain of seeing himself as he truly was. The pain of recognizing wasted years, the pain of understanding he had everything and nothing at the same time. Rosie had tears streaming again, but this time from relief. I thought you were going to," she couldn't finish, her voice breaking. "Rosie." Arthur interrupted her. His voice came out different, without the usual coldness, without the automatic hardness. There was something broken in it, something human. I heard everything." Her face paled. Her breathing stopped for a second. "You were awake." Arthur nodded slowly, each movement weighing tons. He saw the initial shock, then confusion, and finally the deep hurt emerging in her eyes. He saw the exact moment she understood what he'd done. "I know," he continued before she could say anything. "I know I have no excuse. I know I was cowardly, selfish, cruel, manipulative." Rosie held the babies tighter, as if they were a shield against more disappointments. "But I needed to hear it." Arthur felt something hot trail down his face, a tear. When was the last time he'd cried? In childhood, at his grandmother's funeral when he was 12. "I needed to hear it because I've spent 45 years refusing to listen to anything but my own voice, to see anything beyond my own interests, to feel anything beyond anger and ambition." He extended a trembling hand toward her, but didn't touch her. He didn't feel worthy yet. "You said I had a second chance. You were right." His voice failed completely. "But it's not a second chance at living. It's a second chance to finally start living for real, to be a father, to be human." Rosie stayed silent, tears falling freely over Sophia and Lucas, who slept unaware of the moment that would change everything. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," Arthur continued, each word torn from a place he didn't know existed inside him. "I don't deserve you in that house. I don't deserve how you care for my children, how you defend a man who never gave you a sincere thank you, how you care, despite everything." He took a deep breath, fighting the lump in his throat. "But I'm asking you, give me a chance to try, to learn from you, to be the man my children deserve as a father, the man you deserve to have by your side, not as a boss, but as someone who truly respects you." The ambulance stopped at the hospital. The doors opened, but neither moved. The world outside could wait. "Please, Rosie." Arthur took her hand, and for the first time in his life, it wasn't an order, not manipulation. It was a genuine plea from someone who finally recognized his own emotional bankruptcy. Teach me to be human again. Teach me to see my children. Teach me to feel." Rosie looked at him for a long moment that felt like eternity. Then she looked at Sophia and Lucas sleeping in her arms, and finally, with a weak but firm voice, she replied, "Okay, Mr. Arthur, but on one condition." "Anything. Stop calling me ma'am and stop making me call you sir. Call me Rosie, and I'll call you Arthur. Because if we're starting over, we're starting as people, not boss and employee, as real family. Deal?" And there, at the door of that ambulance, Arthur Montgomery finally learned the most important lesson of his life. Respect doesn't come from position, money, or power. It comes from the heart. And you, have you stopped to see who really holds your life together? Leave us in the comments which part moved you the most. And if you believe respect and gratitude transform lives, share this video with someone special. Until the next story.